The final is only weeks away, of course, but we're speaking about Japan today, and Alan Gibson joins me. Alan, welcome to the podcast.
Good evening from Japan. 11:15 here as I record.
Wow, thank you very much for joining me so late on in the day. So you mentioned to me actually before we started that you've been following Japan for years, 30 years. You've lived there for a long time too. What's the Japanese football culture actually like?
It's very interesting. Back in 1992 or thereabouts, they began a 100-year plan. They're definitely, we're 32 years into a 100-year plan now, I think, where basically Japan wanted to host the World Cup within 20 years or so, which they did. They want to win the World Cup by 2050. But this plan is working very well, as you can see, because there's so many Japanese players around the world now. It includes making sure that every team has roots in the community, youth teams, kids teams, coaches who've qualified. They visit shops and businesses and everything. It's very much a community-based thing, and bringing kids up from a very young age to through the system, and pumping into them what they need to do, but enjoying it at the same time. So there's a big culture and a big history, which is, I guess, we've got 68 years or so to go in this 100-year plan. And Japan will win the World Cup by 2050, but maybe this month.
Who knows? Well, I've actually been looking at Japan and their players, and it is an unbelievable side. It's just a real shame that there's sides that are just probably a bit better than them, but no one can rule out Japan. Let's speak about the qualifiers. You faced off against Australia, who also qualified, Japan finishing first. In a group with Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, China, who've never qualified for a World Cup, and Bahrain, it's quite an easy group to get through, isn't it?
Easy, yes, technically it could be. Japan did go, I think, unbeaten for almost all the way through and qualified first for the second or third time in the last 3 or 4 World Cups. But that's probably only because of time difference, I think. But yeah, Japan, I think, were unbeaten and about 5 or 6 points clear with 2 or 3 games to go. So it's in my past now. I'm looking forward to the future. But technically, I mean, Japan should be, I mean, they are the best team in the AFC, the best countries, I mean, the most players overseas, the best league. So, I mean, nothing's ever easy in football, is it? But yeah, I think technically and in the long run, Japan had a reasonably easy time. Yeah.
Going forward to this World Cup, Group F is a group that is so difficult. I mean, Sweden, Tunisia and the Netherlands, and anything could happen. I mean, I don't even know what way to call this. You would argue that the Netherlands and Japan are the strongest in the group, but you might tell me otherwise.
I would hope so. Japan always tend to do well in the group. Last World Cup, they beat Spain and Germany, if I remember correctly, and then beat Germany after in a friendly 4-1. Recently, they've beaten Brazil 3-2 after going down 2-0 at half-time. And believe me, Brazil were playing their best team, were very upset to be losing. So it's not like it was a friendly. And of course, I was recently in Scotland and England and watched them beat Scotland and England too. So things are going well. The problem is we're missing probably 3 or 4 key players for me. Obviously, Brighton's Mitoma, everybody knows about him. He would have been a star. So Kaoru Mitoma is missing the World Cup. We've had centre-back Koki Machida. He's one of my favourites, has missed out completely in the last few months and haven't seen him for a long time. And I was going to say striker, but I guess behind the striker or the support striker, Takumi Minamino of Monaco is also, or was injured. He's sort of just come back now and he's actually with the squad, but he's not in the squad. So we're missing like 3 key players for me. And then I believe that the manager believes that Takehiro Tomiyasu is going to be a key player. And he's missed probably the best part of 2 years. And is he match fit? In fact, Ajax have just let him go. He's probably one of the only players at the World Cup who's actually out of a contract. Who knows? So he'll be looking to impress people, but the key is to staying out of injury. So 3 or 4 key players missing. And Tomiyasu and Endo, Wataru, the captain, has just come back from 2 or 3 months out injured for Liverpool. He played half a game against Iceland last week. And he's been training separately, but yesterday he trained with the squad and he should or could be ready if Japan choose to use him.
Endo's a great player. I mean, watching him at Liverpool over the last few years, he's just Mr. Reliable, isn't he? He always performs well. It's a shame he's been injured this campaign, but you would think that he would still be one of the star players for Japan. What can you expect from Endo in a Japanese side? Is he still the defensive player we see at Liverpool?
Yes, he's a key man. He's the captain. He's now, I think, 33 years old, but to me, he's still a youngster. I think geeing up the captaincy from the midfield. He's also capable of playing centre back anywhere in the back three. But I think having Endo available would be good for the players and the team and the squad. But if he's not available, there's plenty of other choices. But I think it'll be very good to see Endo start the game against Holland, even if he doesn't last the full game. And his presence will definitely boost the team, having their captain back after so long away.
Talk to me about the goalkeeper situation then. 5 clean sheets in a row, and obviously including in there is beating England, Scotland, Bolivia, Ghana and Iceland. Is the goalkeeper in the back line nailed on to start all these games?
I think so. Zion Suzuki is playing in the Italian top tier and doing very well for himself. He's a big lad. He gets around. He's quite vocal. He's not quiet at the back, and he's got probably, well, depending who plays, but 3 very good and experienced players in front of him. I don't think, unfortunately for Tomoki Hayakawa and Keisuke Osako, they are along for the ride unless something happens to Suzuki. Let's call him Zion, because Japan have 3 Suzukis in their team, which means they have a good engine, of course, but it's quite confusing. So, engine joke? Never mind. So Zion will be the key man, and I think unless he gets injured, he had about 3 months out, and has only been back about 6 to 8 weeks now. But we saw him no problems at all in the friendlies. So hopefully he's strong, key, fit, and he is the key man. Nailed on, yes.
The kick-off times, from what I'm trying to work out in my head, might be a bit kinder on Japan than it is in England. But how have the kick-off times been over there? I mean, are they fair? I'm just looking at the times here. 5 a.m. for Tunisia, Japan, at 12 a.m. for Japan, Sweden.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised that for us, I believe, 5 a.m. for the Holland game. I think the Sweden game is actually 8 a.m. in Japan, but I'm not sure. I've got to catch up. And then the Tunisia game is actually at lunchtime. So that was a pleasant surprise for me. I think they're kicking off about 10 p.m. over there. So poor guys who've got to get home after the game, I don't know, but not my problem. But it's not as bad as I expected. I was expecting to be having like games at 3 and 4 and 5 pretty much all the time. But they seem to be considering, of course, FIFA in it. You know, the money and the TV rights have been paid for. So I guess that they're juggling all the games around to make sure that certain markets have at least 1 or 2 of their good games and good timing.
Can you talk to me about the match specifically against Iceland? Iceland are not very highly ranked amongst world football. Japan are, and you only beat them by 1 goal very late on in the game. What did you learn from that game? Because you did play a very strong team.
I'd probably dispute that about very strong team. But there was certainly a lot of changes during the game. Endo started, played a half, but was stamped on, I believe. But that's a slightly different injury from what he was worried about. So Endo played, and I think the key was playing the unfit players, or the match unfit players. Tomiyasu also, for example, I think played the whole game in the end. There were 8, 9, I don't know, 10 changes. So I think overall it was a bit frustrating that Japan couldn't score more than 1 goal. And it was quite interesting to digress a little about one of the rules that's changing at the World Cup, where Japan actually only playing against 10 men when they scored the goal, because the referee had delayed a substitute going on because he thought the guy going off had gone on too long and took too long. So it was very interesting that when it was down to 10, Japan made the most of it. And it came from a substitute cross and a substitute header. So overall, it was good. The manager managed to get the squad a game. And after the game, he didn't seem too worried about the result. To be honest, if it was 0-0 or even a loss, I mean, nobody wants to go into the World Cup with a loss, and Japan don't want to go in for a loss. I think 8 years the manager's been in charge, and he's actually never lost to a European team, which is quite an achievement. So overall, Japan were rarely under pressure. I think 2 shots from distance and 1 save overall. Japan shoulda had 3 or 4 goals in the end. So it probably wasn't actually a 1-0 game, but to be honest, a win and a clean sheet with so many changes and up to the World Cup. Not concerned about that. We want to see the good games against Holland, Tunisia and Sweden.
Of course, but the shape of your team looks to me that it stayed the same throughout a lot of these friendlies, including the game against Brazil. Do you think you'll line up the exact same way regardless of opponents, judging by what you've seen in these friendlies?
It seems that the manager is now stuck on his, I was going to say 3-4-2-1, but it's probably more like 3-2-4-1. 3 centre-backs, probably Tomiyasu, Itakura and Hiroki Ito from Bayern Munich. No complaints there. With 2 wing-backs, Mitoma's out, but Keito Nakamura is more than a wonderful. In fact, I'm wearing his shirt. I love the kid. He's just as good as Mitoma, dare I say, and could shock a few people. And Doan on the other side, so 2 wing-backs, and then 2 central midfielders, 2 defensive players, where we've discussed Endo might be in there, but Kaishu Sano is doing extremely well, and Crystal Palace's Daichi Kamada, who doesn't play there for Crystal Palace, but at the moment I believe that if Endo is not risked, Kamada might drop into the bottom, into the 2 there. And then there's plenty of choice, as always, for the 2 or 3, depending what they do, behind the striker. So I'm guessing it'll be the 3 backs, 2 defensive midfielders, 2 wing backs, 2 supporting strikers, and striker Ayase Ueda. Feyenoord, I think he was top scorer, but for the Dutch league this year in the Eredivisie. So missing players, but yeah, I'm very, very confident. But if they do switch to 4-2-3-1, which I personally like, and I think the players might fit better, Tomiyasu and Itakura would stay centre backs. Ito would move to left back, and right back Yukinari Sugawara, who's joined Werder Bremen from Southampton this year. He's an excellent right back. Created the goal against Iceland also. And then again 2 central midfielders, but then 3 behind the striker instead. And there's so many to choose from. Celtic's Dyson Maeda, who most British people will know about, is probably just going to be coming on at 25 minutes from the end to terrorise tired defences. It's great to have so many good players in reserve, even with 3 or 4 injuries. So, 3-2-4-1 is probably the way it's going to be. But the players will be flexible. Even during the game, I think they can switch like that if necessary.
So lastly then, where do you think Japan are going to finish at the World Cup?
I'd like to think they can win it, because to me, World Cup is all about luck. If I go back to 1966, you know about it, but obviously don't remember. England, lucky did it at the bounty. Was it a goal? Who knows? It's a bit of luck. In 1986, Maradona's hand of God beat England, managed to win the World Cup. Japan got to the last 16, I believe it was last time, and then they were running rings around Belgium, and then it didn't happen because they actually went for another goal instead of trying to hold the game. In the end, it comes down to luck, mistakes at the back, referee error perhaps, although who knows, VAR is all there, so hopefully there aren't any. And to me, any one of 10 or 12 teams could win the World Cup. Realistically, I'd like to see Japan get to the last 8, certainly to the last 16. But in the end, as I said, anyone could win it, and the heart says Japan, the head says, okay, 16 would be nice. 8 would be amazing.
Well, Alan, thank you very much for joining me.
The pleasure was all mine.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.